I'm back today with more Final Destination content, and today I thought I would rank all of the premonitions. I did briefly cover them in my tier list, but that was more focused on the actual kills. This will be focused on the premonitions as a whole. We have 5 films, but 8 premonitions because 2 of the films actually have 2 premonitions in them. Before we start, definitely let me know what your favourite premonition is and your least favourite premonition is in the comments because I would love to know. Obviously, big spoiler warning for the Final Destination films. Please remember this is just my opinion. I do think all of the premonitions are really fun, but of course I have my favourite, so let's get started at my least favourite. Coming in at number 8 is the bridge collapse from Final Destination 5. This is a very big and elaborate premonition. It is definitely on the larger scale. We see a massive bridge that is also a road. It can't take all of the weight of the cars, so it does start to collapse and start to fall apart. The bridge is over water, so we get to see lots of cars falling into the water. There are people that are hanging on to the edge of the bridge as it's collapsing beneath them. People are trying to save each other. There are things flying all around. People are getting hit in the face with things. It's not just things falling, it's also parts of the bridge that are swinging around in the air like big bits of metal. It is very over the top. It is very unrealistic. Saying that a bridge collapsing in general doesn't feel that unrealistic. I feel like it's just how this one plays out with all of the other aspects, but that is to be expected, especially with this franchise later on. I feel like it kind of went a little bit more over the top as the films have gone on. There is so much going on and obviously so much destruction around everyone. It kind of feels like the kind of sequence that you would see in an action superhero film. The gore is very CGI heavy. The CGI doesn't look the best either. I feel like the CGI wouldn't matter so much if the film was a little bit more aware of itself and less serious. Things don't seem as like comical as some of the other films. In some of the other premonitions, they are quite aware of themselves if they are going to be a little bit more over the top and wacky. There is one part in particular where the CGI really sticks out like a sore thumb, and that's when one of the guys who is kind of falling off the bridge gets loads of poles that end up impaling him through his head, but once they've impaled him, his eye is like a completely different area of his face. This definitely would have gone down better if it had that added comedic element. Another thing that really sticks out for me, unfortunately, with this one is the stiff acting and the really unlikable characters. Some of the dialogue just felt quite obvious. I do actually really like this film and some of the kills in this film. It's just the beginning that wasn't my favourite part, but I still do enjoy it on a rewatch. Coming in at number 7, we have the Needle Pin Restaurant from Final Destination Bloodlines. This is of course from the new film that came out this year. If you've seen any of my other Final Destination content, then you may know I'm not a massive fan of this film. I wish I was, but it's just not for me personally. Although I'm not a massive fan, the premonition scene is definitely one of the better scenes in this film alongside some of the other kill sequences. I much prefer the beginning of the film to the end of the film. For me, this isn't a relatable fear. There's a reason why I don't go in these types of buildings, because I just don't trust them. They look really dangerous and scary to me. I'm scared of heights anyway, so maybe if I had already been in a building like this, then I would have liked it a little bit more. I do like that this premonition isn't completely serious. It does have some moments where it shows that it is aware of itself, like when the people are falling from the sky and the 2 kind of security guys that are out the front turn on the radio and the song Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head starts playing, and then people start falling from the sky. If a premonition is going to be over the top and wacky and on a really big scale, then I do think it is best when they kind of go the more self-aware comedic route. This premonition is CGI central, and I found some moments to look quite cartoonish. When I was planning this video, I was trying to put my finger on why I disliked this premonition so much. I think for me it just feels a little bit lackluster. I think I did set my expectations a little bit too high when comparing it to the previous premonitions in the other films. The one that I can compare it to the most is the bridge collapse scene. They're both really heavy on the action. There is a lot going on and it is very unrealistic. At number 6 we have the race car incident. This premonition takes place on the racetrack and we focus on the deaths of the audience. A tool ends up getting left on one of the cars, causing them to crash and a series of events to happen. We get car parts flying everywhere into the audience, crushing people. The ceiling ends up falling in. There's a fire. People are getting trampled to death. There is so much going on. It's very over the top and it is CGI heavy, but I do want to give props for creativity. It's very unrealistic and everything happens so fast. There is death after death. This isn't necessarily one that can really be applied to people's fears in everyday life, but I do feel like there are elements that are more relatable, such as being crushed to death. I absolutely hate being in crowds. I always feel really claustrophobic. Even if I'm at the cinema, I usually wait till quite a few people have left before I get up. I just hate being stuck in a crowd, so the being crushed to death definitely gets to me in this one. It's not my favourite, but I do think it's very entertaining. At number 5, we have the roller coaster from Final Destination 3. Final Destination 3 is one of my favourites in the franchise, but the premonition scene is definitely not my favourite scene in the film. It's kind of middle of the ground for me. We follow a group of teens that get on a roller coaster. One of the screws comes loose, someone's camera gets stuck around the track. Lots of things happen, which as usual cause a chain of events. The track comes undone and people are falling out of the roller coaster. People are getting hit with things. It's kind of going all over the place. There are people that are hanging on for dear life, trying not to fall to their death. I would say this is the point where the films started to get more over the top. They started to be a little bit more self-aware and campy, which I think really shines through with this premonition. Compared to some of the iconic kills in this film, I don't think this is a very memorable scene, but I do think it's a decent premonition. I like that the kind of theme of this roller coaster has a big devil. It's like it's foreshadowing, obviously, as the viewer. We know what's going to happen, but for these teens in the film, Wendy, who has this premonition, is a little bit suspicious before they even get on. This does play into some real life fears. So many people are afraid of roller coasters and rides. Me personally, I am quite scared of roller coasters. I have only just in the last few years of my life actually been on them. Other than when I was a child and would go on obviously much smaller ones, I spent most of my adult life staying well away from any theme parks. I thought I would hate it, but I do actually really enjoy them, although they terrify me and I always get so much anxiety when I'm actually in the queue. I also think the characters are more likeable in this premonition than a lot of the other ones. At number 4, we have the shopping mall from the Final Destination or Final Destination 4. This is the second premonition in that film and I think this one is much better than the first one. The disaster waiting to happen at the shopping mall, there is a fire and it's next to some really flammable substance. We get to see a really cool scene at the cinema where they are watching a 3D film and there is a explosion on the screen, but the explosion actually happens at the shopping mall in this premonition, which comes through the cinema screen like it would actually be 3D. This is really cool, especially as someone who loves to go to a cinema. I love to see horror film scenes set at the cinema. When this explosion happens, lots of parts of the wall and the screen go into the audience and basically impale them. We also get the escalator scene, which personally for me is my absolute nightmare. I am so terrified of escalators in general, so this just kind of added to that. What happens is there are loads of people trying to get away, so they're using the escalator and the escalator actually ends up collapsing through and we just see loads of like cogs and things, mechanical things going round, and we have two of our main characters trying to not fall into it, but one of them does end up falling into it and we see her legs kind of get grinded up. It's kind of like a big meat grinder. I don't actually know what's behind escalators and if it's actually anything like this, but that's what it's like in my head anyway. I absolutely love the location of this premonition. I love that we get to see in the cinema, the escalator and just the shopping mall in general, so it had to go in 4th place. We are now down to my final 3, my top 3 premonitions. At number 3, we have the second premonition in Final Destination 3 and that is on the underground subway train. This is the first time we get 2 premonitions in one of the films, so it's really unexpected for the film to end with a premonition. It's not one that's too over the top or wacky. It is one that just feels more realistic. I'm really glad that we got to see one on a train. I feel like next we need one on a boat. The subway premonition gives me the same kind of feel as the Flight 180 Premonition, the first ever premonition on the plane. I think it's because it's more of a stripped back one. We don't have loads of different things going on. It's kind of just focused on the train and not a million different things flying everywhere. I do have like 50 million different fears, but this is honestly how I feel when I get on the underground, because it's so shaky and it makes so many loud noises. It honestly terrifies me. The flashing lights make the kills look and feel so much more realistic. It's more left up to the imagination. With the flashing lights, not only does it add more atmosphere, but it does also really make the CGI more forgiving. The survivors left from the third film all get on this underground train at the end, which ends up crashing. One of them tries to get out the window and we see his body kind of smushed along the side because obviously the train's going really fast. When putting this video together, I honestly wasn't expecting this one to be so high up, but it really is one that I just really enjoy. I think I do prefer the ones that just are more realistic. In second place, we have the car pile-up from Final Destination 2. This is the one with the infamous log truck. This definitely unlocked a new fear in me. Whenever I'm out on the road and I see one of those trucks in front of me, I instantly just think back to this scene, and I feel like so many people feel the same way. It was kind of a toss-up whether this one should be first or the one I've put first, although you probably already know which one is going to be first. It definitely depends on my mood. This one is one of the ones that is a little bit more over the top. Definitely not as much as some of the ones later on. There is a lot going on, but I do feel like if there was a big car crash pile-up, there would be a lot going on anyway. This is set on the motorway and we see lots of different characters in different cars and vehicles. Someone's on a motorbike. Obviously, we have the log truck. The truck is what starts this all because the logs end up coming undone and one of them ends up flying through someone's windscreen, decapitating him. They are just going all over the road. People are swerving, crashing into things. All sorts of things are happening. We do see some CGI, but honestly, it's not that bad. And now my number one spot, it is from the first Final Destination film, and that is Flight 180. Like I said earlier, when I was planning this video and rewatching all of the premonition scenes, I wasn't too sure where everything was going to go, but I wasn't expecting this one to be first. It just brings me so much nostalgia. It looks so realistic. It's the first premonition that we get. It's relatable. I feel like so many people are scared of flying, so although there are some aspects that are over the top, it doesn't feel that far out of reach and that far-fetched. In terms of how it looks, I think it looks really great. They kind of kept it simple. It's the first one, so it's very stripped back, very entertaining, and I'm not sure if it is just the nostalgia that is making me want to put this in first place, but it is honestly just the one that I enjoy watching the most. Seeing Alex have this premonition and then when he comes out of it, seeing if all of the things are still the same, like people swapping seats, the tray that is broken, him realizing that this is a premonition and it's actually something that's going to happen, is done in such a good way. He also has the best and most realistic reaction to having a premonition. For me personally, I feel like I would act the same as Alex acted. One of the best parts about this premonition is that we also get so many callbacks to Flight 180 in the later films. We get to see the number 180 come up loads of times, and when we see that number come up, we know that there's trouble. So that's the end of my ranking the Final Destination premonitions. Do let me know your ranking in the comments, and as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again in another one soon.